Hey guys, my name is SubjectDeath00’s, and today I'm making this video about The Last of Us Part 2, which is a game that I finally fully played and finished all the way to the end. And I have to say, I'm a bit conflicted, for a variety of reasons. I already knew about Joel's death, um, and of course playing as Abby and all that, but I decided not to go ahead and play it for a while because I wanted to play after everything that had went on, and I wanted to approach this with a different mindset, and with a first time playing and really paying attention to how everything was in the game. And the game is is great. It's honestly like the graphics is wow, the combat is really top notch. Like I really do enjoy the combat. I know people like to say that it's clunky and all that, but literally it gets better over time, especially when you get used to the controls and it's not as bad as some people like to claim that it is. Um, and I know I'm gonna get some flack for this. I'm gonna get some hate for this, but I don't hate Abby. I really don't. Um, in a way, I do understand why she did what she did, honestly. Um, because I think a lot of people, you know, they only hate on her because of the fact that, yeah, I mean, there's two reasons which I'm gonna get into why she's being hated on. Of course, the first one being that she kills Joel, which of course I was very angry about. I was very salty about it, and I was angry at her for that when this game first came out, and I got to that point, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna. I don't like this already." Um, but I understand because I think a lot. If you put yourself in her shoes, and I think a lot of people would agree that when somebody kills somebody that you love and care about, which in this case was her father, you would go ahead and hold on to that anger for a long time and sort of have that obsession with wanting revenge and to avenge someone that you loved and cared about that was brutally murdered, brutally, and really just he was murdered in cold blood. And again, I can understand her hatred, I can understand her anger for Joel. But do I like it? No, no, of course I'm not gonna like it because Joel, in the first game, he was such a great guy to play as. He really cared for Ellie. We got to see his tragic loss in the very beginning of the game of the first one. And we all really truly cared about Joel, and we honestly, love him as a character, and I love him as a character as well. So I didn't like that Abby killed Joel. Of course, I'm never gonna like it, but I can understand it. And to hate on Abby just because of that sole reason, I think is not a good way to go about it. But if you want to, then I can't change you. Like I really can't, and I'm not gonna. Um, I'm not gonna try and convince you either wise. Um, and then, oh, well, actually, I should say there's three reasons. Of course, she kills Jesse, which unfortunately we're gonna see. Um, but yeah, um, I can't hate Abby for that. Again, for those reasons. And I can't hate Abby in general. You know. Um, and I think another major reason why Abby is hated, and I know I'm also going to get a lot of flack for that as well, is because in a lot of people's eyes, she is just not that attractive in personality, character, and image. And I say this because there's a lot of people really commenting, "Oh, she's so big and brolic, and it's unrealistic in an apocalypse situation." Meanwhile, in the very beginning, of her story, when you get to see her where she lives, which is the stadium, you see the gym right there. So she's in an environment where she has the resources, the food, the supplements, and a gym, a fully stocked like equipment and everything to get to where she is just really muscular and really strong. And mind you, there are women that do exist that are very brolic. They are very large in muscle mass. Is not unrealistic to see and to look at. It really isn't. And then, of course, there's the fact that they have her body, her image from a real life woman who looks like that. So it's not unrealistic. But of course, it's only mentioned because, again, like I stated before, she's just unattractive all around to a lot of the people who do not like her. I'm not attracted to Abby anyway. I don't think she's really attractive, but again, I'm not going to hate on her for her image. She is who she is. She got to the muscle mass that she got to because honestly, in her personality, she's a very strong-willed character, and she felt that it's needed for her in order to better survive any situation that she was in. And she has that military discipline training, disciplinary training, because of the fact that, of course, she was in and part of the Fireflies, and then you know she's in the Wolves, the WLF, Washington Liberation Front. So no matter which group she was in, she had that military background, sort of that very high discipline training regimen and blah blah blah. You get what I'm trying to say. You can see it in the clothes that she wears, her attitude, the way how she moves. It's very disciplined, and she's basically honed herself into becoming a soldier and a warrior that will demolish and kill any of her enemies in her way. That's just who she is. That's the character that she has been designed to be. That's the person that she grew up to be. Especially after her dad died, was brutally murdered. She became that way. It's just who she is, and that's just who she is. I can't really say it in any other way. Um, but yeah, so I just want to talk about Abby real quick because it's like, again, you know, there's this game got a lot of controversy because of that alone, and I understand why it has a controversy, but I do not think it is justified in the overwhelming amount of hatred, especially when this game is really a great game. It's a lot of fun, um, and again, it didn't deserve too much of the hate that it got. It was, I think, a lot of people that were just really salty about it, and I'll admit I'm one of those people that was really salty about it. I still didn't go out of my way to send death threats to the game devs, as well as harass the actors or actresses, in the game that were hired to be the voice and the image of the characters, which I think is just unfair and not justified. Again, it's just wrong. Um, um, Another thing that I want to mention too was the fact that um, the story honestly could have been written better, because I know that's been mentioned a lot, and I do agree with that. The story could have been written better. Like, for example, I think for the most part, I think we probably should have gotten Abby, like, her entire thing, even the flashback in the beginning, and then uh, went to Ellie. And then how Joel died, honestly, is my biggest pet peeve, because even though in the beginning Tommy and Joel goofed it up by telling Abby their names, um, but I mean honestly, it's whatever, right? Like, I mean, people, they slip up at times. They give away their names, even though I'll admit it's kind of shocking because Joel and Tommy are hardened survivors. Over 20 years plus of over 20 years of surviving in the world that they have now with the infected and the spores, the fungus, and other survivors. So it was kind of shocking to see. But honestly, how Joel died to me, honestly, it didn't sit right with me. I wish there would have at least been a sequence where at least Joel and Abby would have talked, had more communication, more dialogue, or not only just that, but also had where there was more resistance coming from Joel. I didn't like the fact that he was just helpless. He was completely helpless, defenseless, and he couldn't fight back. He couldn't reason, or he didn't reason. Nothing. And he just died. Brutally executed by a golf club, which is just is it really didn't sit right with me. But again, I'm not gonna be salty and I'm not gonna hate on the developers. I'm not gonna hate on the character for doing that. Um, but other than that, honestly, the game it's really great. It's honestly, it really is a great game. Like there are moments where it can be intense. Um, it could be quite action packed and cinematic, um, and the graphics really top notch. The combat, a lot of fun. You could really you can go all out in the combat. You could really experiment with how you move around and how you lay down traps and whatnot. And my favorite parts would have to be the flashbacks with Joel and Ellie, and also when Abby is facing off against Ellie in the theater, which seeing Ellie move around like a absolute menace was terrifying uh, to come across. Like really terrifying. Um, but it was cool to see, and I liked that fight a lot because it was well done. I have to say that fight it was well done because you see Ellie is not somebody that is can be easily defeated by Abby, just because Abby is bigger and stronger. Um, like Ellie puts up a hell of a fight, and she thinks with her brain, and she's being tactical and careful and really being observant of her environment or her surroundings, better yet. And she is deadly. Ellie, we saw her in the first game. This little girl, um, that was just all smiles, jokes, and all that. She becomes this character that does become a lot more depressing, which I have to admit is like, yeah, that's depressing. But she's also ultimately very deadly. Um, but that's all I wanted to talk about. Honestly, the game is good. It's good. It's a lot of fun. It's a great game. But yeah, that was it. Thank you so very much for watching, and have a great day.